Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, I'm Courtney Ryan, and today we're reacting to a TikTok. So I've never reacted to a video on this specific topic before, and I thought that it was interesting. It's a bit of an older video actually, but this got 1 million likes on TikTok at the time of me recording this, so women clearly are seeing it and agreeing with what she's saying, just based on the likes alone and the comment section. So let's watch it together. Per usual, I might pause throughout the video just to elaborate on some things so that I don't forget, and I have to do like a bigger recap at the end, so let's get into it. Okay, so the little text on the screen says, "How do I know if I'm with a mature man?" And the video is from Kasaya West. I don't know, it looks like a podcast.
How do I know if I'm with a mature man? First of all, a mature man is not obsessed with social media. He might have it for business purposes, but he's not just sitting there scrolling on social media, looking at girls, double tapping their pictures.
So the first one is not obsessed with social media. I would absolutely agree on the looking at girls thing that she mentioned and liking their pics all the time, especially if you're in a relationship. If you're in a relationship and doing this, I would humbly invite you to rethink this, gentlemen. But generally, I can see what she's saying. Again, I think using social media for business purposes is very different than sort of mindlessly scrolling or spending all of your free time consuming content, being sort of a doom scroller, or again, as she said, obsessed with social media. You know, when I think about a mature man, just picturing him in my head, the way that I would describe him is someone who can prioritize his responsibilities, manage their time wisely, and leave room for their hobbies and their interests. I can't say that I really think of doom scrolling on social media when I think about a mature man. So I can agree with her there. Now, I don't know if it's necessarily fair to say a man is automatically immature for enjoying social media from time to time. Again, she said obsessed. So if we're going just based on that, I would agree. I don't think being obsessed with social media is a mature thing or a healthy thing for men or women. But I would say it's more so about being able to properly manage your time. You know, if you prioritize your responsibilities, you get your stuff done, and you have room for free time to enjoy yourself and to rest and to watch Netflix or get online from time to time, I don't think that that is an issue, but I also don't think that that's what she's talking about. She's saying someone who is obsessed. So all in all, I would agree with her. Let's look at point number 2.
The next thing is if he can communicate his feelings to you without giving you an attitude, prioritizing communication over being angry.
He can communicate his feelings to you without giving an attitude. Again, communication, the way you respond and react, is important. I think a huge aspect of maturity absolutely points back to communication and the way that you communicate. Now, it's okay if we get an attitude from time to time. We are not perfect. We are human beings. It's okay if we aren't necessarily perfect all the time. But I think being open to communication and the way in which you go about doing this can speak volumes about where you're at emotionally, about your character, and about your communication, which again points back to maturity. And specifically here, I would say emotional maturity. Communication is so important for every single type of relationship, whether it be romantic, platonic, professional. I mean, it is so important, and I wouldn't just recommend this as something that you do with your romantic relationships. I think this is important for every aspect of your life. Now, this involves having tough conversations, active listening, being open to constructive feedback and criticism. A lot goes into communication, and I think a lot of people could use a lot of work on this, so agreed. Next.
He doesn't get weird about your time of the month. A mature man is not going to care about that. I'm not saying he's going to go down on you or something during that time. He's going to be caring to you about it. He's also going to be understanding of the fact that you're needing a little more love and affection, and you're maybe going to feel a little low energy at that point. If he's not understanding that, not a mature man.
Doesn't get weird about your time of the month. I've got to say, this threw me for a loop. I was not expecting to hear this next. But I'll break it down. You know, I don't expect men to know every little detail about this. I'm sure there are things women don't completely understand about the male body. But I do think it's nice when a man is empathetic in general, but also during this time, and doesn't act all like grossed out or that you're being dramatic. You know, we're adults here. We can grow up. But something else I'll say here from a woman's perspective for you guys. A woman's cycle is wild. And I actually think it can be incredibly beneficial to understand this about the woman in your life. I think it just sort of makes a lot of things such as mood, behavior, libido, all these type of things, it just makes it make sense. So if you want to understand women on a deeper level, I think knowing this can actually be very beneficial. I know to some of you that will sound so silly, but again, it is very wild what we go through on a monthly basis. I'm not saying that for like pity or anything. I'm 28 years old. I'm pretty used to it at this point. But I think I'll even take a step back here and broaden it to a point of when men and women are empathetic towards each other and their struggles, and they don't try to discredit you, they don't try to one-up you, and they just listen to you and are empathetic about different struggles that you might be going through, whether it be your time of the month or a problem at work or whatever it is. I think this is a very attractive and mature thing to do. Again, I think this does point back to communication, like we already talked about. I know she's talking about this time of the month thing specifically here, but I think we can even broaden it out and say, well, it's attractive and it's mature when a man is empathetic and when he can listen to you and be kind and supportive. And I would say the same thing to men about women here. I think it's attractive and mature when a woman does that too. So, agree. And for all of you guys watching, I'm serious, look into a woman's cycle because it is wild. I think honestly a lot of women don't even understand this about themselves. This is not something I really started to understand fully until probably 2 years ago when I got off birth control and I really started to try to understand my body more and really learn about it. This is not something that we're really taught in school, which is crazy because it is such a huge part of our life and our hormones and what we should be doing on a daily basis and what we should be eating. It's wild. Maybe I can make a video about it if you guys would want to see it. I have a feeling a lot of you are not going to want to see that, but let me know down in the comments.
A mature man is not over drinking.
A mature man is not over drinking, she says, and to that I would totally agree. You know, I don't drink at all. I've talked about this a lot on my channel, so perhaps I'm a bit more sensitive to this, but I think it is such a turnoff and such a red flag when a man is consistently getting drunk, blacking out, can't control himself, has no ability to conduct himself in an appropriate manner. Like, you know, that in my eyes is incredibly immature, but it would also signal to me something deeper. I think a lot of men who overdrink, it's not necessarily an immaturity thing. I think it is a anxiety, depression, struggling type thing, and they're using alcohol to cope with that. So I try to look at it in that way to have a little bit more empathy. Again, it is a turnoff to me. I would not be attracted to someone who was doing that, but I do think it often signals a deeper rooted issue that needs to be addressed. And so for that, I can extend an olive branch and give a little bit of empathy there, because I know a lot of people are really struggling, and a lot of people who are struggling turn to vices such as alcohol, drugs, shopping. I mean, there's a ton of different ways that people cope with things to sort of get themselves through it, and I don't agree with that, but I think a lot of people are really struggling. So again, can it signal immaturity? Totally. I mean, think about frat guys in college, think about people doing dumb things. A lot of it points back to alcohol and just being immature. But again, I think for a lot of people, it is a deeper rooted depression, anxiety, really struggling mentally problem. So not great either.
You know you're with a mature man if he is not hiding his phone from you. I'm talking about phone passwords, doesn't put his phone face down, doesn't put his phone under his pillow when he's going to sleep.
Under his pillow?
I've heard it. Yes.
For honestly, what privacy? What are you, in the CIA?
Privacy. They're using the word privacy to gaslight you into thinking that they're not keeping secrets. Like, there's a big difference between having your privacy and hiding things from your partner.
I would agree. I've got to be honest, anytime I hear the word gaslighting now, I just die a little bit inside. I cringe a bit because it is so overused, and I just hear this all the time. It's one of those like therapy buzzwords that people just fling around like pizzas, and I gotta say it drives me crazy, but I digress. Not hiding his phone from you, throwing around this privacy term. You know, there's no need to hide your phone or be all sneaky if you don't have anything to hide, in my opinion. Again, I think this really goes back to communication and also just creating a healthy relationship built on mutual trust and respect. I wouldn't say it's always a red flag if a guy flips his phone over. You know, some guys are constantly being contacted due to their jobs, and maybe during a meal they don't want any distractions and want to give you their undivided attention. That could just be one little example. Is that always the case? No, but again, I think sometimes we cling to these little behaviors or these little things that people say are red flags online, when in reality, could they be red flags sometimes? Absolutely. He could be flipping over his phone so that you don't see that side chick that's going to pop up in notifications. But he could also be trying to give you his undivided attention. So Do we always need to read so far into things? Not necessarily. I think the internet has created a lot of trust issues that maybe shouldn't be there, but again, sometimes it's warranted. So we have to make sure we're leaving room for nuance and the human experience, and we remember that things are not just black and white. However, I will say, I don't necessarily think it's normal or healthy to invade someone's privacy or to go through their phone if they haven't given you a reason to do so. Like, a part of me also thinks if you feel like you have to go through your partner's phone, should you be with them? Now, I do think having boundaries is important, and that's going to be different for all of you because you're all in different relationships, right? Every relationship is different, and what works for you might not work for someone else. You know, if I wanted to go through my husband's phone, he would let me, but I don't feel a need to do that because I trust him. I do think, though, there are guys where they are doing things behind your back and they are like cheating or being sneaky. And if you say pick up their phone by accident or check the time, they absolutely blow a gasket and freak out or like act like it's the end of the world. Well, then, you know, perhaps he's not being the best. You know, and again, I think a big part of this is communication. You know, if you're being sneaky, you're intentionally hiding things, you're causing trust issues in your relationship, you're doing shady stuff, perhaps get to the root of your issues, heal your childhood traumas, and be a mature adult who's able to create healthy, happy relationships built on mutual respect and trust. You can't do that if you're being a certified F-boy with a side piece who is immature. So, she's right. Let's be honest. But okay, that was the end of the video. I'll be honest, my list probably would have been a little bit different than this one, but there were still a lot of solid points in here. Some more relevant than others in my opinion. Maybe I'll make a video with my own list if you guys would want to see it. Let me know if you agree, if you disagree down in the comments, and maybe what your list would be for women as well if you're a guy watching. Like, how do you know you're with a mature woman? I've actually done videos about emotional maturity in the past, so I'll link those down in the description for you. I believe the video I did was how to tell if a woman is emotionally mature, and I might have done an emotionally immature one as well. I can't remember. I've done a lot of videos at this point, so I can't remember all the titles, but I'll link those below down in the description for you guys. Again, that video had 1 million likes, which is insane. Like, likes, not views, likes. I actually don't even know how many views it has at this point, but when I saved it on my phone to react to it, it had 1 million likes, which is crazy. The comments were mostly agreeing from what I saw. So these could just be helpful things for you guys to know moving forward as you navigate dating and relationships. I know it can be pretty complex, but knowing little things like this and just having a woman's perspective also, I think, can be helpful as well. So let me know what you think down in the comments. If you like this video or found it helpful, be sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel to be in the loop for when I release new content. If you have a video you want me to react to, tag me over on TikTok. That's probably the best way for me to see it. You could also DM it to me on Instagram, although I will say my Instagram DMs are kind of crazy and I'm probably less likely to see it that way. So if you see a video you want me to react to, just tag me in the comments over on TikTok. As always, thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you all next time.